Hi everyone, this is the second of 10 lessons that we will be producing on critical and creative thinking. While these are absolutely applicable to future problem-solving program, they are also applicable to anything that you want to do. My name is Elizabeth Coyle and I am with Future Problem Solving Program International. So, as a reminder, effective problem solving relies on both creative thinking and critical thinking. While you can use both, while you can use just one, you really need both to complete the problem solving process effectively. April went over creative thinking last week, and she talked about one of our really great tools, the morphological matrix. But as a general reminder, creative thinking is generating new and many ideas using the principle of deferred judgment. Deferred judgment means that you're not criticizing or praising. You don't want to say someone's idea is bad because there could be other ideas that are better from that perspective. But you also don't want to overly praise someone's ideas because then they might only look for ideas from that perspective. You want as many ideas as possible, and you can combine or improve on someone else's ideas. This is called hitchhiking or piggybacking. And freewheeling is totally fine. All wild and crazy ideas are allowed. Right now, you just want as many as possible. Now, critical thinking is where you take that divergent thinking with all those ideas and you narrow that focus using convergent thinking. You're focusing on the best ideas using the principle of affirmative judgment. Now, affirmative judgment means that you are thorough but positive. You're not overly praising anyone's ideas, but you want to make sure to stay with a positive mindset and really focus on what's best and not dismiss anyone's ideas or say negative things for many reasons. You want to follow a plan using focusing tools, one of which we will go over today. And you want to keep your eyes on the goal because you could have so many great ideas, but in the end, it has to be the one that fits your goal. If you come up with an idea that's amazing, but won't get you where you need to be, then it's not your best idea. And you want to stay open to all ideas. You're looking for new and unusual possibilities. So for critical thinking, today we are going to talk about the evaluation matrix, but there's also the ALOU, hits and hotspots, PCA paired comparison analysis, and sequencing. We will talk about all of these in upcoming episodes. Now, the evaluation matrix is a way to essentially rank your options based on different criteria. This can be used for something as simple as deciding where to go out to eat, or something as complicated as figuring out what the best next step for your business is. Now, for basic criteria, you can just remember CARTs: cost, acceptance, resources, time, and space. And depending on what you need, it could be what costs the most or least, what will be best accepted, what will use the least resources, what will use the most less time, what needs least space, etc. It entirely depends on what you're trying to do. Now, if you're doing something more complicated, you may want to come up with your own criteria, which I will talk about in just a couple of minutes. You would enter your options on the left and rank each one using CARTs, using your criteria. So if we have our different ideas, and I didn't give specific examples here, you want to make sure that you have ranked them going across. And you are looking for the ones with the highest score. So here, ideas 1 and 5 both receive a 3 for cost, which means that when looking at cost, ideas 1 and 3 are the best options, and 1 and 5 are the best options, whereas ideas 3 and 4 are the worst options. Idea 2, it's somewhere in the middle. But when you go across, although idea 1 is great, looking all the way across, except for time. So maybe idea 1 is the cheapest, it's most likely to be accepted, it's not going to take too long. It's not going to use too many resources and it's not going to need too much space, but it's going to take a really long time. And that's something that's important to look at. Now, in creating something a little bit more complicated, I went back to one of Future Problem Solving's older topics of spread of infectious disease. And that particular topic dealt in the end with something called the H2N2 flu. For our future scene, we created 4 solutions to H2N2 exposure. The first being that nanophysicians would design a nanotech suit with regenerative powers to protect people who were exposed to H2N2. The Centers for Disease Control would create a chemical 3D printing design of Gripamed, a treatment for H2N2. Virologists would create a gas from infected people that became a dried version of Gripamed to give people exposed to H2N2 through physical contact. And air and land traffic controllers will shut down travel and physical contact among strangers until a cure is found. Now, the reason I picked this is that at some point in their life, everyone's at least had a cold. No one enjoys being ill, and it's something we can all relate to. So even though this particular situation is fictional, it was very relatable. So if you are looking, say you work for the Centers for Disease Control, and you are looking for the best solution out of these, how do you choose? Well, this is a place where you'd want to come up with your own criteria. So the ones we came up with were which solution will reduce the spread of H2N2 the most? Which solution will mean the fewest people are infected by H2N2? Which solution will be most accepted by people visiting St. Moritz, which was the place where our scene took place? Which solution will be easiest to administer to people infected with H2N2? And which solution will provide the most protection to people exposed to the H2N2 virus? So as you can see, all of these criteria are very specific. Now we could have said which will cost the least, which will be most accepted, which we did right here, but we qualified it a little bit. Which will use the least resources, which will be the fastest, which will, use the least space, so that wouldn't necessarily apply here. But you can still use most of CARTs for any criteria, creating any criteria. We just wanted to make it a little bit more specific to our topic. So as it says, step 5 in our 6-step problem solving process is actually using an evaluation matrix. So here we would apply the criteria. As you can see, our solution ideas are on the left: the nanosuit, the Gripamed, the gas, and the travel shutdown. And our criteria are at the top: reducing the spread, the fewest infected, the most accepted, the easiest to administer, and the most protection. Now, going all the way across, before we come up with our totals, we can kind of see what we think might win. Now, if I'd only looked at the first two, I might have said like, oh, great, the nanosuit's definitely going to win. The travel shutdown's pretty okay though, and so is this gas. But when you go all the way across, the nanosuit actually doesn't score as highly as the 3D Gripamed for most accepted and easiest to administer. So when we look at our totals, however, the nanosuit wins, which means this is our best solution and the one we would want to come up with a full action plan for. So that's how you would use an evaluation matrix. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great day. Thanks. Tune in next week for our next creative and critical thinking